Welcome back, everybody. So to continue on with our disassembly project here, we have a couple options that are different routes we can go. This is a coupler here. Basically couples the shaft from the clutch to the input shaft of the transmission. I think if we pull that off and then pulled the bell bolts, we may have enough room to slide this forward, the engine forward, to lift it out. Otherwise, our other option, if we want to lift it like the book says to, I need to go around and pull all these bolts. You can see I started just to see how hard they would come out. But we would have to get all the way down in and around. I don't know if that's a viable option yet. At some point or another, it's going to have to come apart, though. These shafts here for your steering clutches, so this shaft here is held in by these staked pins. We'll see if we can get those out. There's one on each side. If you pull this cover off, you can get to the bottom of it through that cover there. So I was able to get that pin to move for that steering clutch shaft, but trying to get to these bolts, I'm going to need to make a custom wrench to get down in there. So for tonight, I think we are going to focus on trying to get this coupler apart. See how bad that wants to fight me. We'll start by getting these fold-over locks out of the way. So I did end up having to put just a little bit of heat to those tabs, get them all off of the bolts there. They were actually rusted to the nut or to the head. Not really a big deal. We'll make new fold-over locks when we go back together. Surprisingly, all 4 bolts came out really without much issue at all. A little tight at first, but once they broke free, they all came loose. Pulled them out. Now we're going to see if we can try and split this collar here. This is a 2-piece deal, just bolted together. Should be able to split it in half, separate it out, and hopefully that'll leave us enough room to pull the main motor. Brought you guys over here on the other side. You can kind of see where that collar splits, that parting line there. Try and see if we can get that to separate. Well, I had to throw a little heat down that parting line just on the one side. But it is actually moving now. I do have a chisel in there. See if it keeps moving. Alright guys, so it's a new night. I got frustrated last night. It was getting late. I figured we'll just pause here, go look at the book and make sure I'm not missing anything. And after reviewing the book, it looks like it should come out of there. But I'm still wondering if there isn't just a little bit of pressure front to back. So what I'm going to try is loosening up all the bottom bell housing bolts. But up on these top ones, or maybe even this one here, I'm going to leave a little bit of a longer bolt in there so that it still supports the back of the engine, keeps everything in line, and then I'll just put the lift on the front and just see if we can't walk it out, you know, far enough to get this coupler out of there. And once we get that out, hopefully we can get all this clutch stuff apart, or at least apart enough to let it separate from this bell housing here. So let's get after it. So I put that longer bolt in there. We did get a gap here on this side, but on the other side we're still tight. I'm thinking with the engine hoist holding the front weight of the motor, should be able to kind of rock it around a little bit and see if we're gonna gain any room on this or not. So by lifting it up and down, we did get just a little bit of wiggle room out of it, which is good. We're not completely tight anymore. I think we can just kind of keep working our way back and forth here till we can get something in there, kind of assist it along. So very slowly we are making progress. And I put these chisels in just so when I let it down, I don't lose any ground. It's kind of acting as a wedge in there. Back on this coupler, we are gaining space there, so I might see if I can tap that back, try and get it out, get each individual piece out. If you look, it's actually starting to part right along that line there. And just like that, that's what we were fighting. When I went and looked in the parts book, there was a shoulder in there, and I couldn't quite see it on the split, so I wasn't sure if it was in there or not, but that shoulder would never come out without the space of moving the engine forward. Alright, so there's the hardware there. Both pieces are out. And we'll grab this piece out of here. This will be for your clutch brake, stop your input shaft. As you can see, there is a lining on these. So we'll keep all that together. Probably bolt it all back together, that way it's just as one. Give you guys a look down in here. I am hoping we are able now to get this far enough forward to get off of the dowels. That's the next step. And then I think we can take this whole works up, pending that this clutch, we may have to take some of this apart, obviously, because this is attached there and down there to the crawler yet. So we might have to take that release bearing out, throw out bearing, whatever you want to call it. Well guys, we have good news and we have bad news. The good news is we're off the dowels on both sides. All I did was let the engine hoist down a little bit in the front after we disconnected that coupler in there. But the bad news is the width of the feet on this engine hoist do not fit under the crawler. And that becomes a problem because I cannot go in any farther. I need to be back about another 3 feet to grab these back bolts. So that means we're going to have to get the forklift over here, but that is not here. That is at another place right now. So unfortunately, we'll have to cut this video short. Or maybe we can work on this clutch here, because that's still going to have to come out. So you can see I knocked that fold-over lock down. From what I'm seeing here, it looks like we need to pull that nut there. And there's another one, possibly a bolt on the bottom. That might be a bolt as well. Just a hollow bolt that lets oil down in there. Let's see if we can get either of those two to move at all. I'll tell you what, it really didn't put up a terrible big fight, but I did have to walk it out with a wrench until it was almost completely out. That's supposed to be a clean through hole for oil. We'll have to see if we can resurrect this one. So down here on the side, on the bottom side of the bell housing, there's an inspection cover here. I did remove those 4 bolts. There we go. this is how I'm going to try and access that lower bolt there. There it is, guys. It's out. We should officially be detached from the clutch in here. So all we need is a lift. Sorry to postpone this another video, guys, but the next video we will be pulling an engine. Stick around. Thanks for watching. Just because I can't resist doing this, we found something that actually turns.